Yes, 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 yes. UNA. Yeah. Halo. Yes, yes, yes. Yours truly, Diva Lyri, representing for UNA Republic, UNA University. We are here. We's here. Let's get this thing going. Yours truly, Diva Lyri. Hello, my people on TikTok. Hey, YouTube. Hello, Twitch. UNA. Yeah. All right, let's do this thing. Okay. Let me see if I got my people on TikTok. Let me see if I can get my people on TikTok. Because last time, I told y'all my TikTok people are very important to me. Even though the app has been taken over, my TikTok people are very important. And I want to see if I can get them on here before I get started, because I like to know if they're talking to me. Let me see. Welcome though, for all of my people who are watching. Welcome. Thank you so much. Let's see if I can find my recording on here. Let's see. Nope. I cannot see my recording. Let me see. I'm gonna try this now. Forgive me. I try to get this done before we get started, but some kind of way. So now he wants to talk. Hold on. Let me see. Let me turn this all the way down so that when we do find it. All right. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm yours truly, Diva Lyri, representing for UNARepublic, UNA University, where we help you to find your financial freedom, your social freedom, and most importantly, your spiritual freedom. We here. Let's do it. Let's go. Okay. So now, what are we talking about today? Our topic for tonight is the government trying to outlaw single mothers. The government trying to outlaw single mothers. Okay, we're going to get into it tonight. Now, before I go into that, I want to make sure you guys are aware of the trust package. Now, if you're interested in the trust package, leave, for my TikTok people, make sure you leave your name, number, email in the inbox. You can find us at UNA University. My people on Twitch. By the way, we are streaming on Twitch, we're streaming on X, we're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on TikTok. Okay, so find us at UNARepublic, all right, .com or UNAUniversity.com. UNA University is your best bet, okay? And you can get in touch with us there, or you can leave a message in the inbox, name, number, phone number. Name, number, email. Let me get it right. Okay. This is the membership trust package. What is this? This is important in helping you to gain your sovereignty. All right. As we talk about your social freedom right here. Okay. So you got to know what these are. We have the documents that go with it, the membership badge, and the allodial ID. This is going to help you. One second. Let me see what's going on over here. Oh, okay. All right, we're good. So yeah, this is going to help you with respect to your freedom socially, okay? You want to have this, but you do have to have the knowledge. So it comes with the documents, your trust documents. It comes with your membership badge, your allodial ID, as well as an education, and we do put those on record for you. Also, when we're talking about your spiritual freedom, don't forget, we do have membership packages. We have the Awaken. This is $10. With this, you're going to get every Monday, we're going to send you actually twice in the morning and in the evening on Mondays. We're going to make sure you are spiritually connected with us, all right? And make sure you're getting your inspirational messages. All right, for your Transcendence package, this is only $30 a month. Okay. You're going to get, yes, Mondays and Fridays. Actually, it's Tuesdays and Fridays. You're going to get your inspirational messages, all right, in the morning and in the evening. Also, you have access to one of our private recorded sessions that we do in the UNA University. It's very powerful, right? Only $30 a month. Also, we have this. This is actually $100 a month. This is the Luminosity. Now, this one is very powerful because not only do you get everything in the Transcendence package, and by the way, this is personalized. We're going to say your name with the Transcendence. You get that with this Luminosity package as well. This is $100 a month. Now, what comes with this? You also will have the ability to sit in on our Monday classes, all right? Because we want you to be able to contact us, to talk to us, all right? Also, any of these packages, you're going to get a discount on any consultations you need. If you're in the Luminosity, then you get even further benefits when you join that. So we want to see you in class, get you acclimated to becoming a full student in UNA University, so we can once again help you gain your financial freedom, your social freedom, and most importantly, your spiritual freedom. Let's do this. All right. Yours truly, Diva Lyri. And also don't forget, we do have the beginner law book. Okay. You can find this at UNA University. Very powerful tools that we're dealing with here. Okay. So let's go. I wonder if there she is. She is in the house. One of my students. Man, I didn't get my water. I gotta get my scissors. Be right back. All right. She's in the house. Genesis is in the house. Now, what are we talking about today? The topic for today is the government is trying to outlaw single mothers. The government is trying to outlaw single mothers. Now, I want to get into this because this was very interesting. Now, I have to preface this and say that you all know I really like to view things in their entirety. Now, this document is dealing with Project 25, okay? That's the title of it, Project 2025, Project 2025. And so I want to go into what it is, but first we're going to take a look at this video that was sent to me by my student. Hello, Genesis. Hello, Mother Tamika. Welcome. Let's see who's in YouTube. Abdul, welcome. All right, if you are in the house, I want you to leave a message in the comment section so that I know you are with me, okay? So I'm going to go through this video and let's take a look at what is being said in it. And I'm going to stop it now. By the way, I'm new at doing response videos. And so I know some people tend to get upset and aggravated when you stop the video. So I'm warning you right now, I will be stopping this video intermittently. But basically, this video is talking about Project 2025. All right. And so let's get into it. Let me get this on the screen right now. Thank you. So let's go.
Doesn't just demonize single mothers. It wants to change policies to punish single moms and perhaps even remove children from single parent households. Don't take my word for it. Let me show you. Their top priority is promise number one, restoring the family as the centerpiece of American life. And they specifically call out unmarried mothers as a reason that the American family is in crisis.
All right. I need to stop right here. Now, once again, you see that it says Project 2025, and I need to go in on this particular topic about how the society is demonizing single mothers. Now, it's this whole idea that the vast majority of people who are incarcerated come from single mother homes. This is not true. Now, here's the issue. And notice I said the vast majority. We even ran the statistics on this. And the statistics show now there's 40% at least of incarcerated people, 40% come from two-parent homes. And here's the deal. We're going to get into this because I need to say this society is totally backwards. Everything that we're being told to do in this society is backwards, 180 degrees backwards from nature. And it's backwards from anything that's going to bring about a true resolution to what's going on. Now, here is Project 2025, and this is coming from Trump, and I want to make it clear why this is happening. All right, so we're going to get into this again. As far as this goes, this is talking about how they are demonizing the single mother and trying to make it seem as though every person that's incarcerated comes from a single mother home. Meanwhile, there are single mothers out here raising children who are very good in society and very much productive in society, but they're not talking about that. They're talking about the ones who happen to end up in prison and trying to make it seem like the vast majority. And when I say vast majority, it's got to be, now you just talking about possibly 60%. But even then, when you're talking about 40% of the people who are incarcerated, statistics are showing it's 40% coming from two-parent home. That's not really giving a true indication of the fact that, it is possibly a single mother that's causing the issue. And I'm going to suggest to you that's not what's causing the issue. But let's go on, and then we're going to get deeper into this. All right?
400 pages later, when you get to their section on the Department of Health and Human Services, you see that they want to rewrite what the definition of a family is to be comprised of a married mother and father and their children, saying that currently Health and Human Services is too focused on LGBTQ plus equity and subsidizing single motherhood.
Okay, right there. So I need to for us to be clear about this LGBTQ situation and the fact that whole society, the lesbian and gay community, has been taken over by another group of people. The same way Black Lives Matters has been taken over by another group of people with a totally separate agenda. The same way the Black community and NAACP and all these other programs that supposedly HBCU are supposed to be for so-called Black people, it has been taken over by another group that has their own agenda. So what happens is you've got this LGBTQ whatever and this diversity and inclusion thing that popped up over a short period of time. And here you got people, this agenda that's being pushed, and it's got nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. When you're talking about the LGBTQ, there was another, when I talk about, I need y'all to hear me when I say this, when I say another group that's pushing an agenda, you've got, according to what I've seen, gays and lesbians who have relationships with adult people. All right. Then you got queer. Then you got people who come in who are transsexual. That's the T. When that really has, according to them, nothing to do with your sexuality. It's just some people who want to identify as something that they're not. Then there was another agenda being pushed, and it was for men being able to marry a child, where they, instead of being accused of some kind of heinous crime of child molestation, they wanted it to become a law giving them the right to marry a child. That was coming in this, because it started LGB, lesbian, gay, bi. Then it had the Q for the queer, and then it had the T in there for the transsexual. And they were pushing inside of this community this agenda to where these men would be able to marry a child. So that's in this diversity and equity and inclusion. And then you get this situation where men are able to join women's team because they say, well, I just identify as a woman, so I should be able to be on the women's whatever league team. And they're just supposed to be accepted because they want to identify. So then you got Trump, who comes in and he's like, no, we're going to put an end to that. And that's great. I totally agree with that. The issue is that there is no between ground. All right, because you've got this agenda called Project 2025, where they're going from trying to protect women to trying to force them into something that they don't care for. That's the problem with, we all the way over here on the left. Oh, well, I don't even know what the difference is personally, because I don't get into that. Politics is all garbage to me. But when you swing from one side, where it's like, we just including everybody, diversity, and then you swing back over here, now they're trying to tell you, if you're not married, they want to take your child away from you. This is why you need to know how to stand. Because see, really, only reason why I'm bringing this up, because again, my student brought it to me and I found it interesting, because I see, they're trying to go from one way where, okay, we want to make sure women's rights are protected. Now they're going to the other side where now they're taking away your rights in a different way, where they're telling you, you have to be married. If you're not married, then we're going to take your child away. Well, when you know law, none of this matters, because everything that they're talking about is in a system that when you stand on your own and you know how to create your own nation, you don't have to deal with it. But I'm speaking on it here because I get it. I get it that they're, calling themselves trying to protect the woman or from being savaged by men. But then here comes this organization, and now they're trying to enslave her in a different way. All right, I'm going to keep going on this. I hope y'all following me. And if y'all have any questions or comments, please put it in the comments section so we can have this discussion. I want to welcome my people on TikTok, welcome my people on Twitch, X, and all the other TikTok. Welcome. All right, let me see if I can get this right. So once again, please make sure you leave a comment. Otherwise, I don't know you're there. Okay, so let's go.
And saying that these policies should be repealed and replaced by policies that support the formation of stable married nuclear families. It's not enough to be heterosexual, by the way, because they also call out homes with non-related boyfriends as being one of the most dangerous places for a child. And they don't much like surrogacy either. In the context of emerging reproductive technologies, Health and Human Services should never place the desire of adults over the right of a child to be raised by the biological fathers and mothers who conceived them. Here's a horrifying paragraph. The Secretary of Health and Human Services anti-discrimination policy statements should never conflate sex with gender identity or sexual orientation. Rather, the Secretary should proudly state that men and women are biological realities that are crucial to the advancement of life sciences and medical care, and that married men and women are the ideal natural family structure because all children have a right to be raised by the men and women who conceived them.
married men and women are ideal. And I am going to propose to you that that is not ideal and it's backwards from nature, but we're going to go into that. Okay. I'm going to keep going.
They also want to promote reunification as a part of child support, which is terrifying for domestic violence survivors. And they want to institute a healthy marriage and relationship education program in every state level high school in America, with curriculum on healthy marriages. Oh, I wasn't kidding about child support either. Child support in the United States should strengthen marriage as a norm, restore broken homes, and encourage unmarried couples to commit to marriage. There's also a line in here that basically says that if you're the parent of a transgender child, that is child abuse. And if everything I've read hasn't sounded too bad, you haven't been reading between.
All right. So I want to say this real quick. When we're talking about the transgendered child and how they're saying that's child abuse, once again, this is going back to that whole DEI thing. So when Trump came in, his whole thing was to stomp that out. And this project was a part of that, to stomp all of that nonsense, because it was, oh, this is nonsense, and I can't disagree. It went too far. And so now, in order to try to bring it back or rectify it, they're going all the way to the other side, to where they just, we're going to take away all the women's rights and just tell her, this is how you're supposed to be. This is how the household is supposed to be. And that's it. Okay. And then we're going to get into what the real issue is.
The lines, and this line here should clear it up. But the pro-family promises expressed in this book and central to the next conservative president's agenda must go much further than the traditional narrow definition of family issues. Every threat to family stability must be confronted. This resolve should color each of our policies. And any family that's not a heterosexual married family, that's a threat to them.
All right. A threat to family stability. Now, before we get into the family and, the man and woman need to be married and all of that, because I've talked about marriage and what it is many times on this channel. But before I get into that, I want to go back on the reason why this thing is created. First of all, let's look at what this thing is. All right. This is a synopsis of what this Project 25 is. So how Project 2025 impacts mothers. And let us read this together. All right. So it says, you've probably seen a lot of memes and infographics about Project 2025 floating around. So what is it? Over 100 conservative groups spearheaded the development of a 900-page plan to hit the ground running on day one of Trump's second term. The plan detailed hundreds of policies, but how does it impact, or how does this impact core issues affecting mothers? Let's break it down. On child care, the plan does not call for increasing access to affordable child care and is silent on if the Trump administration will address the child care crisis. However, it calls to eliminate the Head Start program, a high-quality early education program for about 750,000 low-income children. How will this impact you? Many cities that offer pre-K thoughtfully commingled funding for Head Start and local funding and use the Head Start funding as a foundation for citywide pre-K programs. In many locations, eliminating Head Start may mean that local pre-K programs will serve significantly fewer children and lack the oversight to ensure certain high-quality measures are met. Similarly, Project 2025 calls to eliminate the Department of Education. And I need to stop right there. One of the issues I have said for a long time is the education system that had been set up. In my travels, and even in my business dealings, the more successful people are the ones who didn't graduate from high school, didn't even finish high school. Those are the more successful people. And I'm not telling you we shouldn't have an education system. What I'm saying to you is that if you happen to be an entrepreneur and you graduated, especially from college, congratulations. Because you some kind of way made it when it wasn't set up for you to succeed as an entrepreneur. I'm saying that the education system is flawed and it should have been overhauled a long time ago. Now, what he's doing and all of this, I'm not sure about. I can't tell you fully about this program, but what I am saying is the education system had failed a long time ago and it should have been overhauled. So I hope he's going to at least overhaul it. Again, I don't know what he's going to do and what his plans. I haven't read this whole document. But again, this is just an overview of what this Project 2025 is. Many states and localities use funding from the department to support states fund education programs, including pre-K and kindergarten, especially for states that do not have compulsory kindergarten, as well as before and after care programs. All right, on the paid leave, Project 2025 does not call on Congress to authorize this benefit, nor did it detail any plan to encourage employers to provide paid leave. To date, all paid leave proposals have all depended on the Social Security Administration or the U.S. Department of Labor to administer the program. Project 2025 purposes to reduce the size of these agencies, which will effectively make it more difficult to create and administer new programs if Congress authorizes them in the first place. Okay, so here's where we are in this situation. One of the things that I'm going to get into is that we got to get back to helping each other, because we have been too dependent on the government to do things for us. First of all, we needed to have been developing our own education. We full well know, and everybody who is semi-awake, you know that we haven't been taught anything near the truth about history. And that is very important. Anybody who's near awake, you know, when it comes to educating and becoming an entrepreneur, they haven't taught us that. The purpose is for you to stay a slave. And so you know who's been educating your children, and you call them the enemy. Well, why would you allow the enemy to continue to educate your child? Now, I know this sounds harsh, but at some point, we got to step up and do things ourselves, because the truth is, this people who call themselves government, they never really were government. They are really just people who are using the public to serve their interests. And now that this old system is dying out, the people, you got to stand up for yourself and gain knowledge. Otherwise, then you're going to have a difficult time in this coming time. You're going to have difficulty. All right. As they talk about, there is a changing of the guard. Well, if you have no knowledge and you have chosen not to educate yourself, if you're choosing to ignore all of us who are out here speaking on this information, whether it be law, whether it be finances, whether it be whatever it is, spiritual uplifting, if you're choosing to stay ignorant, then you're going to have a difficult time. But if you choose to educate yourself, then none of this is going to matter. It's not going to matter. All right, I need to go back to this whole DEI thing, and I want to I want to play this session from Candace Owens. All right, this is Candace Owens who is talking about what Black Lives Matter was all about. So let's take a listen to this.
This narrative, which we were all lied to about, inflated an organization that purported to be about Black Lives Mattering.
All right, I'm going to have to start this.
Billions and millions of dollars are going to trans organizations.
What kind of organization?
Quite literally, trans organizations. Like, we focus on providing trans houses. One was, we are focused on building the first ever fully transgender district in San Francisco. We are focused on, if they're all buying houses and building districts, I'll say that, it's a lot of real estate. We are focused on providing a oasis for transgendered people in Ohio, right? House of Gigi, House of Tulip, a transgender district. We are focused on sex workers, all sex workers. How does any of this go to furthering Black lives, right? We found that $30+ million went to the stock market. I thought this was about tearing down the institutions of white supremacy. That this narrative, which we were all lied to about.
All right, so this is Candace Owens going in on Black Lives Matter and what the funds were actually being used for. And once again, you know, we've talked about this once again on this channel about how there are organizations that will infiltrate other organizations and then they have their own agenda. And this is what happened with that whole Black Lives Matter. We talked about who actually owned Black Lives Matter, and it wasn't anybody who was so-called Black. We talked about that. But then underlying that, you've got this whole deal where they're taking the funds and they're spending it on the transgender community. None of this is really going to help Black lives. And here's the deal. Even if it was just for the LBGT, even that, the trans, that's a whole different agenda. I told you once again, there was that whole thing with the LBG community, LGB community, whereby there was another group that came in and their agenda was, hey, we're pushing this deal such that men can marry young children. There's this whole agenda about now the women or men who decide they want to identify as women, they can jump into the sports. All of that is that underlying agenda. And I need y'all to understand that whole thing was playing out when we looked at basketball, the Olympics, definitely. But you're seeing that in college sports where you're seeing more and more men trying to enter into the women's sports. Okay, so now you get Trump who comes in and says, hey, we got to stop this. And so here is Candace Owens telling you that, hey, I did the research and we followed the money, and all the money went to these LGBT trans organ. It wasn't even just LGBT. It was strictly trans. Again, somebody taking funds and doing things with them that they weren't supposed to do. All right. So now you had Trump who felt like he needed to step in and say, no, we're going to do a hard turn on this. And we're gonna put a rest to it. Okay, all right. So now we got that out of the way. I want to take a pause here and see if I have any comments. Sandra L, welcome. Mother Tamika, Genesis, welcome. Yeah, Sandra says you said a spiritual thing, nearly awake. Yeah, nearly awake, but not really. My people in TikTok, welcome. Peace and abundance. Thank you, Free to Be Me. Yes, you are. Let's see. Thank you, Bam Bam. Welcome, welcome. Greetings, Abdul. Welcome. Okay, so now we're recognizing why we have a such thing as Project 2025. Now, we also recognize why you've got this hard spin on with respect to Trump and what his group is doing. Now, let me say this, okay? In the video we watched, it talks about how basically it was, how would I say this? It was demonizing single mothers. And I tell you that is very much unfair. And then it went on to try and force what it seemed like from what that video showed. And I do need to go back and read this entire document because I know how people put spins on things. So I am going to read the entire document. And if I need to, I'll circle back to here. But what I'm going to say are some facts, okay, and some statistics. I do not like the fact that they have this notion that the best upbringing is in a two-parent household, because that is far from nature. And I know people are going to be upset with me. You trying to destroy the family. We're going to get to some statistics. And then if you feel, you go and do your research and you find something different, come back. Let's have an intelligent discussion. Don't knee jerk and don't believe a word I say. Don't believe a word I say. I need you to just go and do your research on the things that I'm going to speak, and then we can have an intelligent discussion. So this idea, first of all, of trying to force a woman into a marriage. Now, that's, first of all, we've already talked about what marriage is. And if you haven't seen my sessions about what marriage is, please go back and follow us on YouTube. And I break it down from an etymological standpoint to a historical standpoint. And we can understand really that marriage is when the woman went into slavery, period. Now, you've heard me say that this is not a natural thing, this man, woman, child, that is not natural. And when I talk about nature, I'm talking about, let's go and take a look at the beings who are not inhibited by the rules of this raggedy, backwards society. One of the things most females in nature do, and y'all want, well, we ain't animals, Diva, please. I want y'all to understand. Don't look down your nose on these beings that they call animals, because there are things they haven't told us about who those beings are. They have, most of them have a higher knowledge of self than humans do. And you don't see anywhere in their societies where they're enslaving each other. All right. In nature, what you don't see is the female having the male in the house. Why? Because it is the nature of that male to devour the child, one way or the other. If we're talking about bears, for example, see, they've given us these stories from childhood and made it seem like these things are natural. Listen, I get it. What I'm saying sounds harsh. Listen to me. Don't believe me. Just go and do your research. Just listen. Don't believe me. Go and do your research. Mama bear, papa bear, baby bear. That's all garbage. Because even if you look at bears, the last thing that a female bear would do is let a male bear sleep up in the house with them or sleep in their close vicinity. Why? Because he's liable to wake up out of a sleep and eat the child as a midnight snack. These are the facts. And see, there's no police out here in nature. There's no cops that say, well, you know, he did this and he did that. There's not that. She respects his nature. And the problem is Men have taken women over. I'll go into that as well. She didn't originally do this. In the matriarchy, that's where we come from. If you look in nature, there is the matriarchy. Everybody wants to say, we never have no mate. Well, yes, we did. China, we did. Africa, we did. South America, we did. When you talk about the Amazon women and the Khalifa tribe, those were matriarchs. This whole planet was originally a matriarchy. And what was it that we had? A village. Everybody knows the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Everybody knows that saying, but where is the village? Who was the village? The mama, the grandmama, the sister, the cousins, the nieces, the aunts, the girlfriends. That was the village, not him. That wasn't his job to be in the house and bringing home the bread and the butter and the bacon and protecting. That's not even in his nature. That is just something that society has made him believe that he's supposed to do. Meanwhile, when we look in society today, we see he's not doing that. If it was in his nature to do it, you don't have to force him to. Who got to force the mother to be there for the child? It's in her nature to do it. That's why she does it. And I get it. I know this sounds harsh, but let's be clear about this because I'm ready to drop some other statistics. When we're talking about nature, and I say this all the time, who is the only one that's going to put their life on the line for that child? Who's on the one? That's the mother. That's the one who protects. Who's the one that does the hunting? All y'all men who think lion is the king of the jungle. The lion is the laziest being in the jungle. It's the lioness that does all the hunting. She's the provider. She's the protector. When you're talking about the children, who does she lead the cubs with? The village. When we're talking about elephants, elephants are the last known dinosaurs, according to my research. They consider them dinosaurs. That's a matriarch. They're the ones, as the pride, they take care of all the children. There's not a male there that, oh, he's got to protect me from. It's the mother, the pride, the village. And why is it that they send him away? Because they respect his nature. Let me go into his nature, because some of y'all are going to be upset with me. See, people don't want to hear this part. I get it. See, I'm not here for clicks and views. If you click and view, I love it. I thank you. But I'm here to give you the facts. And they are not pretty for anybody. Not men, not women, not this society, because it's raggedy and backwards. Not Albions, not melanated people. Everybody has done some dirt, including Jews, especially Jews. Everybody. I'm not here for clicks. I'm here to give you the facts. And women, this Project 2025 is making it clear to you that you better wake up, or somebody's getting ready to force you into another institution of slavery. If you're not paying attention, here are a group of people trying to take away your rights if you choose not to live the way that they feel that you should live. Okay, let me drop these statistics. All right. I don't need the screen. Let me drop these statistics, and you can go and look them up yourself. So here is a situation where they're telling you that that women need to be married to men, and they want to try and force some kind of marriage reunification to keep you married. Now, before I even get into the statistics, let me ask you a question. Y'all out there in TV land, and let me say this. I'm not telling you to marry or not to marry. I'm telling you that when somebody starts taking away your rights, you need to pay attention. Now, if you want to get married, that's great. But who has the right to tell you you can't be single? Who has the right to tell you that and try to force you into a marriage with somebody because they think that that's what you should do? Meanwhile, nature is saying, your whole vessel. This is why women and men are fighting like this. Nature is coming back into order. This is why. She is separating because her spirit is saying something is not right about this institution. But you know what women keep doing? They keep trying to force themselves. Well, we need a man in the house, and because I ain't nothing without a man. And the more you do that, then she go get married. Then she get a divorce, and then she get married again, and then she get a divorce. And it's like, well, what's the problem? And the more men you're bringing into the house, especially if you have children, the more danger you're putting your child in. Let me be clear on that. But no, because man, you need a man, and man in. Okay, so pay attention. When we're talking about violence against women and children, more than 85% of the perpetrators, and these are conservative figures, more than 85% of the perpetrators of crimes or violence against women and children are males. Again, I'm not saying all males do this, but I need to make it clear that what they're talking about when they keep trying to force you to be in a household with this being, and they're trying to force you and put it in your mind that you are no good without this being. Okay, you need to pay attention to the nature of who you're trying to contract with. When it comes to sexual crimes or child molestation, more than 85% of the perpetrators are males. Oh, this is getting tough. I know y'all clicking off now because y'all can't take this fact. Okay. I need to make this clear because when it comes to children who are molested, more than 75% of the perpetrators were known by the child, somebody who was in the household, a live-in boyfriend, a cousin, an uncle, a granddaddy, a dad, all of that. More than 70% of them were known to the child, and more than 85% of those perpetrators were males. These are conservative figures, meaning it's really higher than that. It doesn't matter what color, it doesn't matter what society, it doesn't matter what nationality or how much money you have. More than 85% of the perpetrators are males. But they want you to be forced into a relationship, and then, we're going to try to make it work. We're going to have some counseling. Let me ask you a question. Are marriages and relationships easy or difficult? Somebody answer the question. Marriage and relationships, are they easy or difficult? Okay. Anybody? Because everything I hear is marriage and relationships are very difficult. What I have come to understand is things that are natural are easy. They come easy. There's not a difficult thing about something that is natural, just like it's not difficult for a mother in most cases, the vast majority of the time, to step up for her child. When she's in her right mind, that's just what she does because it's natural. But why is it that we got to have child protective services and he got to be chased down and he's not protecting or he's not providing, because that's not in his nature. He has been screaming to you who he is, and it was never his responsibility in the first place, but because he took the woman over and he took a place and a role where he wasn't supposed to be in the first place, now he's struggling to do something that's not even in his nature to do. I'm just giving you the facts. And I know men, when they see this, they get upset because no, we're supposed to protect. No, you won't. You will never. And I get this guy who comes on and he knows this stuff, but his ego gets to him, because when I say that men were created as sex slaves, that's why she ended up being a sex slave. But when I say that, he gets upset. It bothers his ego, but the facts are the facts. Nowhere in nature does he protect, provide, and nurture. Nowhere. It's not in his nature. But you want to act like, oh, well, we are humans. We are not. Okay, what happened to the village? So let me answer some of these comments that we have. Welcome, El Keeman. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. Peace and blessings to you. Go, Diego, go. Welcome, Halo. He says, hey, Diva Lyri, at first it was hard for me to admit at first, but now I know we need to get back to nature, law, matriarchy. But society right now is inverted and people think it's natural. Shaking my head. Thank you, Go, Diego. I want to make it clear. This is not saying men got no value and they not worth it. Nobody's saying that. What I'm saying is men, the nature of the male has not been respected. And part of that has to do with the fact that, again, I say the male overtook the woman. He took her place. This whole man, woman, child, that's not how it was. It was originally Christ, woman, child. And he goes and steps into God's role. He goes and steps into, he wants to be God. What the problem is, that's not his role. It was Christ, woman, child. And so what happens is, now that he's in that role, because let me go back to this, because she originally had him as a slave, a sex slave. That's what he served as. Even if you read some of the books in the Bible, you hear about how a man came over to the temple. By the way, when we're talking about Pharaoh, all right, the term Pharaoh originally meant the woman's house. Now when you go look the etymology up, they say the big house, but no, that was the woman's house. That was her house. He came tipping because he was servicing hers, all the women in the big house, the woman's house. He was servicing her, if you understand. And then he started to take her over. Now, she was disrespectful. I go into that in some of my other sessions about the things that she did to the male, but she had to get a return of energy. She became the sex slave. Now she's got to go into servitude to him as his sex slave, his wife. And she gives birth to a family, which family means slaves and servants. That's the etymology of it. Then I get males who come on my channel and they want to try to twist it and, well, no, family means it. Look, I just told you, I'm just giving you the facts. I understand it's hard to hear. All right. So she goes into servitude to him. And you've got to understand, when you claim ownership of something, you really put yourself in enslavement as well. So we can see it today. So for example, let's say you say, I own this house. This house is in my name. Okay, so you own the house, and now you're responsible for make sure the grass is cut. If the roof start leaking, you got to pay for that. If the air conditioner is shut down, you got to pay for that. You got to make sure all of the bills are paid, the taxes. You are responsible. You are now enslaved. You have a financial burden and responsibility on you because you own the house. But then what happens if you rent the house? Well, you don't have to deal with all that. I'm just giving you an example. When you claim ownership of something, you actually enslave yourself. When you claim ownership of a pet, that's beautiful. You got a pet. But then don't be talking about you going to go off for a week to such and such a place. You got to take care of that pet that's at the house. Now you got a responsibility. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just telling you what happens when you claim ownership of something the way the male claimed ownership of the woman with the marriage certificate, which is basically where she became his property. That's why she took on his last name. She's his property. So now she becomes his property. He's got a responsibility that he's really is not in his nature to handle. Protecting and providing and rearing of the children, that's not in his nature. And so now we're at this point where you've got these people talking about, we're going to force you into a marriage because we feel like it is the right thing. That's not even nature, what they're trying to get you to do. This whole society is 180 degrees backwards. And if you're really talking about fixing and resolving the issue, first of all, women, and I say it again, I'm going to keep saying it, and this is my mission to make sure I say it as long as I need to say it to get 10% the critical mass to the point where everybody knows it. It is your responsibility to wake up. Because until you do, this mess doesn't get cleaned up. Man keep trying to fix it. Man can't fix this mess. Because this is a situation where we got to go back to nature. Male is everything opposite of nature. If you want it fixed, you got to wake up, ma'am. I get this message. Most women no longer have a village, and that's why we're worn out. Get a village. What is a village? Get you some girlfriends, even if you have to pay. And listen, this is what I found. Women spend so much time fighting men. That's when you get worn out. You spend all this time fighting him or trying to be upset about what he hasn't done when you got all the wealth right there. All the wealth is up here. You have all of the wealth that you need. And the minute you put it in your mind to manifest the wealth that you need, he is not going to be an issue. Whether he comes around or not, it is not going to be an issue. And guess what? Your village is going to show up for you. And as a matter of fact, it's my responsibility to help us build a village. So it shouldn't just be that. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't like that women sick the system on the dude. I don't like that. I mean, because it doesn't even make any sense. So you get him the child protective services, or not the child, who is it? The people who come after the men for child support, and you get them on, you sick those people on this man, and now that happens 3 times, he has a felony. He can't get a job if he wanted to. I think the whole way the system is set up is backwards. We need to go back to the village, the matriarchy, because women, you got to clean this up. This is a natural thing. We're going back to nature. Man cannot clean this up. You got to clean it up. So instead of trying to fight him and trying to sit, because I need to make this clear too. Women who do that, I'm going back, hold on, universal laws right here. Here we go. Universal laws. When you put an energy out on him, you have damned yourself. You sicken the child support service people on him, and you've hurt him. And by law, that energy that you put on him, it's got to come back to you. That's why you're tired. You too busy fighting him. The universe is slapping you for hitting him. That's the law. That's why. Listen, y'all act like these laws, they not real, because sometimes because you got to be, if you white, then it don't matter. These laws are real. The moment you come into knowledge of self, ma'am, you won't fight and you won't be tired like that. You're gonna manifest the village. You're gonna manifest that. Her village is moms, aunts, grandma, cousins, nieces, girl, children, not no man. We've been lied to, but the truth is coming out. I believe women are about to come back into power. Okay. Thank you, Go Diego. This is all I'm saying. Women, going back to the statistics, okay? We're not trying to hate on men. Now, I need that to be made clear, because I don't want anybody coming up in here thinking it's about dissing men. It's not. What I'm saying is that this society is trying to get us to do things that go against what nature is. And the problem is the woman is not being the protector that she's supposed to be. This is why in nature they have a village, because they respect the nature of the male. They know what he does. They know what he's about. In nature, naturally, the Y chromosome is a predatorial type entity. It's going to prey on things. And if you are allowing it, this is what I'm saying. You got children and you got a male that's watching over your children. It's like you got chickens and you got a fox, a pet fox, and you like, he's a good fox. He would never. Well, you're silly. Because the fox has a nature. You could have raised that fox from a baby and the fox been hanging around the chickens. You still don't ever leave that fox alone with your chickens. Otherwise, you're not respecting the nature of that being. And you're not standing in your proper position as the protector of that being. You're not protecting. That's your job, ma'am. And so when you're bringing men in your house and you go off to work and you leave him in the house with your child, you're not respecting his nature. And I know this is harsh, but especially if this is like a live-in boyfriend or somebody, a stepfather, I've been there. Not only have I been there, but I've done the research. Now, they want to tell us, you look at the stats, they'll say 1 out of every 3 women have had some kind of inappropriate sexual contact before the age of 18. And they'll say 1 out of every 4 men. That means you can walk in the room. If there's women, you can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And 1 out of every 3 of those women, whether they're willing to admit it or not, has had some kind of inappropriate sexual contact before the age of 18. And the same thing with men is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what they say. But my research, when I do the research, it says for every 1 actual molestation case that is reported, there are at least 6 that are not reported. For every 1 that is reported, there are at least 6 that are not reported. And why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem for the simple fact that that statistic looks like darn near 50, at least 50% of the population walking around that has had some kind of inappropriate actual contact before the age of 18. And we wonder why we can't have a mature, quote unquote, successful relationship with somebody. Because most of us are walking around with baggage that we've never told. We can't say it. You can't say granddaddy did this. You can't say uncle did this. You can't say my mama boyfriend did. You can't talk about it, because then the family turns on you. How do we stop this? Well, we get back to the village. And women, you respect the nature of the male. All men don't do it. That's right. But that's like saying Muhammad Ali. I wish I had pulled that up. Remember, Muhammad Ali said, listen, if I saw a whole bunch of snakes coming down, and you might say, well, all of them are not poisonous. But you want me to keep the gate open to figure out which ones is poisonous and which ones is not? No, I'm going to close the gate so can't none of them get in. I'm going to protect myself so that I don't get bitten by any of the snakes. What I'm saying to you is, no, all men don't do this. But as the woman, it is your responsibility to make sure there is no place or room for it to happen in the first place. That's your job, ma'am, woman. I get it. You tired. Stop fighting him and get to manifesting. Because the real powers, you just got to tap into them. You stop fighting him. Stop doing negative things to him. Stop saying negative things about him to your children. Show him love. Let him be free. Because when you give him his freedom, the universe got to return freedom to you. That's the law. Use it. The last shall be first says, I see women helping women and it's going to increase. Thank you. The last shall be first. We're helping each other. We have to step up now. You got to stop allowing the government, because listen, when we're talking about sovereignty, once again, this is where you're not dealing with a government. You're handling business as a mature adult. You don't get the system involved in your issues. You don't call the child support services on him and have him running and then end up with a felony on his record. No, because you know, Diva, he got to pay, because see, it's his responsibility. Okay. Keep fighting. And the more you fight him, the more you fight yourself. That's why you're tired. I need that to be made clear. You can't put a hurting on somebody without the universe returning that to you. And here's the issue. People do not respect the laws and they think they're victims. And especially women. Here's the thing. You know, you get with this guy, and how much time did you take before you really knew him? If 6 months didn't go by before you sexed that dude, then you gotta look yourself. Because that's why they used to tell you back in the day, all right, hold on before you sex and wait 6 months. Well, why? Because you gotta see if this dude is rabid. Rabid, not rabbit. Rabid, as in crazy in his mind. Like rabid, like a rabid dog. Some of y'all, as I've said before, are sleeping with demons. And then you want to be mad at him. He is just being who he is. But if you take time as the one, you got the Stargate. The universe graced you with the Stargate. Don't nothing get in this dimension unless it comes through you. You are the one with the power. You. All this stuff, well, my baby daddy, he said he was going to do it. He ain't no good. It's you the problem. You are responsible for the Stargate, not him. His job is to plant seed. He don't care about where he plants seed or none of that. But it's your responsibility to care about whether this dude is a demon or a rabbit. It's your responsibility. And especially if you do have kids and you bring in this rabid being in your house, a Y chromosome is a predatorial gene. And if you're not respecting the nature of this being that has shown up in your face, you're the problem, not him. Nature is coming back into order, and it starts with the woman. You, ma'am. Sandra says, study Pavlov's theory of dog salvation, learned that in school. All right. Trump's America is forcing women to come together. Yeah. See, thank you for that. The last shall be first. The whole thing about Trump, and people get upset about these laws. As I told you, I'm happy that he shut down the Department of Education, because they weren't, the education they were given was enslavement, showing your child how to be a slave, not how to really think for self. And as I said, the people who are successful in business, throughout my time of knowing business people, the ones that are the most successful are the ones that never graduated. The ones that go on and do the most wonderful and exciting and innovative things, they never graduated, because somebody didn't beat the what I call the imagination out of them. They maintain their imagination, because when you go into this educational system, it's their job to beat the imagination out of you, to make you believe that you can't do something, to make it seem like it's far-fetched. Oh, that's crazy. No, you just need to get a good job. No, we don't need to tell you nothing about how to think for yourself. No, that's not what they want. But when we start developing our own educational systems, well, that's why there's UNA. That's why there's UNA. But I got to step it up, because we're going to another level. We're coming up on year number 7. This is our year number 6. We're going to another level, and that includes incorporating the village. That includes that. Sleeping with demons. No wonder you see chaos and destruction all over the world. Yes. You know, I've seen women. I'm gonna give you an example right now of a woman who was in a very abusive relationship. Well, of course, if she's in an abusive relationship, you know what kind of child she had. You know that was a male. And she ended up leaving him. But I remember I never met him, the one who she was with, but I saw the relationship between her and her child. He was only maybe 1. I don't even know if he was 1 yet. But he was already bossing her around at the age of 1. It was like I met her husband in her child. He was very abusive to her mentally, emotionally, physically. And here this child is already doing the exact same thing he was doing. I didn't have to meet him. I saw him in her child. He was already bossing her around. And you might feel like, well, what you okay, I'm gonna give you an example of bossing her around. For one thing, and I don't know if you guys have children, but she breastfed the child. And she said he would bite her purposely. He would bite her nipple. And she didn't know how to discipline her child. Now, I'm going to say this. Even a dang on it dog. Even dogs are intelligent enough to know not to hurt the being that's feeding. You ever given when I was younger, I really wanted to understand if dogs were intelligent. But I purposely gave a dog a piece of meat. I wanted to see if he was going to bite my hand. And the way he took the meat, it was very gentle. Like he's aware of my fingers are there and I don't want to hurt you. I recognize, I'm cognizant of the fact that if I bite, it's going to cause you pain. So the way he took it, it was very gentle with his mouth. And he bit down on it. It was very gentle. And of course he used his tongue. That's intelligence. That's a dog. You mean to tell me a child is not intelligent enough to know when it's hurting the mother? Yeah, that child knew it was being abusive. That's what it was being. You might say, oh, it's just a baby. No, sir, no, ma'am. And I don't know what she did, but it wouldn't have been me. The other thing, when he wanted something, it wasn't, like babies cry when they're wet, or if they're hungry, they just cry. Like, he wasn't like that. When he wanted something, it'd be like a wham. What the hell? Just like a wham. And like it's not like anything I've ever seen any other child do with respect to crying. It is like a demand. Like, I don't know how to speak, but I know how to get what I want. And I don't like what's going on here. So wham! Yes, I'm like, okay. And he purposely did it when there was something that he wanted. That's abusive. Y'all might not think that. I'm telling you, I met the husband through the child, or whoever, the father. I met the father through the child. I never had to meet him. I know exactly how their relationship was because of what I saw and how he treated her. If you are allowing demons to spread seed, you will create a demon. Let's be clear on that. This is why you're supposed to wait before you sex them. You need to know if they're rabid. You need to know if you're dealing with a demon. And if you haven't waited at least 6 months, you don't know because he is giving you his representative, as they say. You meeting his representative. You want to know who he is? You got to wait. The same thing with you fellas. You got to wait to see who she is. She could be crazy too. The last shall be first says, if not education is indoctrination, you can tell by the nature and the way people are. A lot of the men aren't supposed to be here. Okay, say it. The last shall be first says it. Crystal says, I'm sorry, Crystal. Hello, Crystal. Welcome. That part, God, Diva. Thank you, Crystal. They said I froze. Did I froze? Oregon. Welcome, Oregon. Okay, if y'all have any comments before I get out of here, I want y'all to know I really do appreciate you. These topics, I gotta say this. I would love the views, but I know that these topics that I give, they're harsh. I try to give them with love. I'm just giving you what the facts are. Okay. I don't want you to believe a word I say. Go and look this information up. All of the stats that I've given you. Go and look into nature. Go and look into etymology, the words that I've talked to you about today, and understand that this whole society is backwards. Go look into matriarchy. Understand that this whole planet originally was matriarchal. Patriarchy is newer. Understand that the woman was taken over. She went into slavery. And also understand that we're going back to nature. She has to stand in her rightful place now. We're going back to nature. And woman, you got to stand in your place. You got to stand. All of this fighting you're doing with him, you got to let that go. Because you have all the power. You have all of the resources that you need. It's yours. But you can't do it when you keep hurting him. Because he is also a part of you. He is your reflection. And every time you hurt him, you hurt yourself. That's the problem. We got to get with these laws. As I've said, education. We got to get to another level of education. I'm doing my part, my little part. But at some point, you got to start educating yourself so you can start helping to educate others, because this educational system that we had, that was for slaves, teaching people how to be slaves. We're on another level now. And so if you're not willing to educate yourself, then you will have difficulty in these coming times. But for those of us who have listened, who've educated ourselves, we are recognizing these universal laws. You're recognizing these laws and standing on them, you're not going to have any problems. Abundance will find you. All right. I want y'all to know I love you. I really do appreciate you. Is the Bible part of the truth? Thank you, The Last Shall Be First, asking those good questions. Okay, so as I've talked about the Bible, there is power in it. But as a matter of fact, we're supposed to be creating our own Bible. All right. That's why we got the beginner law book. It's got a lot of laws in here, but we create our own Bibles, and it has your declaration, UCC, security agreement, all your other documentation in there. All right. When we're talking about this, the Bible that we know, it is not the perfect word of God. And I'm going to upset somebody. Thank you, The Last Shall Be First, for asking me that question so I can go even further in the upsetting the two people that are still watching. All right. So pay attention to what I'm saying. This is how you know it's not the perfect word of God. Before I say that, the scriptures were around long before the Bible. All right. The Bible is a canonized version of the scriptures. Those were the oracles and the sibyls that wrote those. And man took her scriptures and wrote her out of her own stories to create this thing we know of as the Bible. Now, people keep saying, oh, what's the perfect word of God? Well, why can it not be the perfect word of God? Get a Bible. If you got your Bible with you, get it, open it up, flip through those first couple of pages, and look for the letter C inside of a circle. That means that copyright. All right. That means copyright. And I want somebody to tell me who has the right to copyright God's word. Who's got the right to do that? Because when you copyright something, you're saying can't nobody else use it. Who has the right to copyright God's word and say, well, you can't use God's word? Nobody has that right, because God's word belongs to everybody. But if you're looking in a Bible and it says copyright, well, that can't be God's word, because they don't have the right to copyright God's word. But if they change the story in the book, well, then they can copyright that. If you want to go to a more or less tampered with version of the Bible, go to the book of Jasher. That's going to give you more details of what really happened back in that time. They want to tell you Sodom and Gomorrah, oh, they was gay. No. Go and read the book of Jasher so you can really get more detail and insight on what really happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. Other than that, the Bible is highly powerful because all of the laws, see, we talk about the laws of Maxim. They are respected around the world. Anything dealing with federal laws of Maxim are known as God's laws. They come directly from the Bible. So if you're going into a court of law, which I don't suggest, but you want to have on record those laws of Maxim, which is why we give you the UNA beginner law book. You want to have these laws of Maxim on record, that this is where you stand. Because every federal court or any court period has to respect your God. And what your God says deals with those maxims of law. I hope I answered your question. The last shall be first. Yeah, parts of the Bible are true, but there are a lot of lies in it as well. All right. Anybody have any other questions before I get out of here? Did I upset enough people? Let me see. Thank you. The last shall be first. Okay. So listen, I want to get out of here. I want y'all to know I love you. I appreciate you. Listen, if you all need to have any kind of private consultation with me, hit us up. All right. Leave your name, number, email, and let us know you need a private consultation. We'll send you the link so you can do a private consultation with us on any of these spiritual issues, any law matters. Once again, our goal here is to help you gain your financial freedom, your social freedom, and most importantly, your spiritual freedom. We're glad to help you. I'm here to serve, okay? Let us start serving each other. That's how we come out of this mess. Let us start serving each other. And sisters, you got to stand and you got to get back to the village. Find the village. Find it. If it's not your mother and your sister, get you some girlfriends, get you some, you can even start paying people whose responsibility it is to help you. Money is not an issue. It's not. Because yes, it is. Money is not an issue. Money is not an issue. When you put it in your mind that this is what you need, it will manifest for you. All right. I need y'all to know that. Sisters, I love you. Brothers, I love you. I love you. I love you. We're going to see you guys on next. Let me see if I can see this. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to see you guys on next Friday. Diva Lyri, I'm out of here. Give me a hug. Give me. I love you. Bye-bye.